G'day everyone, Rune here, and this is Chapter 11 of my What If Ash Met Meowth First series. In the last chapter, I decided to implement an episode that had gone unreleased in my country, which resulted in Ash befriending and then catching a Dratini. After that, the events of Bridge Bike Gang and Ditto Mansion went largely unchanged. Then, in Pikachu's goodbye, Ash was able to have a heart-to-heart with Meowth over his feelings about leaving Pikachu with the Pika colony, which brought up some old memories for the two. We ended the chapter with Pikachu reaffirming his dedication to the little mismatched family he had found with Ash and his Pokemon. This is where the next chapter begins. Sometime after the events of Pikachu's goodbye, the team stumble upon an Eevee tied to a tree. With Meowth's help, Eevee is able to tell them that its trainer left it there in order to hide it. Its trainer's brothers were attempting to pressure him into evolving Eevee into one of the evolutions that they had evolved their Eevees into. But its trainer didn't want to evolve Eevee at all, so he hid Eevee here. Hearing all of this, Ash decides to take Eevee back to its trainer, not only to make sure that both are okay, but also so he could give these brothers a piece of his mind. Here we go again. Upon arriving at the mansion, they soon meet Mikey and his brothers, Sparky, Raina, and Pyro. Before Ash can try to talk to Mikey about what the team had learned from Eevee, the brothers begin their speech about how evolution is the only way to win Pokemon battles. Hearing this comment, Ash gives a loud fake sneeze, drawing the attention of the four brothers. "Oh, sorry about that, I'm allergic to Toro Stung." "Wow, only 3 minutes and they've already made you mad." "I'm not mad, just mildly annoyed." Frowning at Ash's interruption, the three brothers turn back to Mikey, saying that he has 3 choices, only to be interrupted by Ash again. 8! Eevee has 8 evolutions! He then proceeds to list off the 8 evolutions and their evolution methods, though he does amend that one of them is impossible in Kanto unless you order an Ice Stone from overseas. The older brothers are at first shocked at Ash's knowledge of Eevee and its evolutions, but then get irritated with his continuous interruptions. Noting that Ash still has an unevolved Pikachu and Meowth, the brothers begin trying to insult Ash, saying that he must be a weak trainer since he hasn't evolved them yet. Okay, now I'm mad. Ash proceeds to snap at the brothers that whether his Pokemon evolve or not is their choice. He's not going to force them into something they don't want just because it's convenient. Meowth had made his decision on the matter a long time ago and never wanted to evolve. Pikachu was still on the fence, but Ash was not going to force a decision on either of them. He then shows them his badges, saying that he's been doing pretty well so far. A little later, both Ash and Misty sit down with Mikey, who's sitting on a bench away from everyone else. Mikey asks Ash if he meant what he said about not forcing Meowth or Pikachu to evolve. Ash confirms that what he said was true. He also expands on his stance on evolution. He does celebrate when one of his Pokemon evolves, but he doesn't view it as a requirement. It's more like when someone you care about decides to pick up a new skill and gets really good at it. You celebrate their accomplishments, but if they never pick it up, it's perfectly fine. Misty then asks if Mikey even wants to battle. Mikey says that he doesn't, but he doesn't know what else there is to do on a Pokemon journey. Ash reassures Mikey, explaining that battles are only one of the options for what he can do on his journey, listing off a few of the side activities that are present in the games. Misty then tells Mikey that he needs to be honest with his brothers. However, before he can, Team Rocket shows up and poke-naps all of the Pokemon that were out of their Pokeballs, including Meowth and Pikachu. Acting fast, Ash sends out Fearow to search for Team Rocket. Meanwhile, over with the Crooks, Meowth is rattling his cage while shouting Rocket's ears off. This continues until Jesse duct tapes his mouth shut and ties him up to keep him quiet. Little did they know that Meowth was acting as a distraction, keeping their attention away from Misty's horsey, who was leaving a trail of ink for the others to follow. When Team Rocket start debating what to evolve Eevee into, this time it's a much more chaotic conversation as they had overheard Ash's explanation on the 8 different evolutions. This means that they aren't even close to making a decision, let alone an attempt, by the time our heroes arrive. Just like in canon, Mikey's brothers defend Eevee, however, when Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon are defeated, Ash doesn't leap in just yet. Instead, he tells Misty and Brock to wait while watching Mikey. Soon, Mikey jumps in to defend his brothers, taking out Rocket all by himself. With Rocket now out of the picture, Mikey tells his brothers that he's not going to evolve Eevee, not until it's decided what it wants to evolve into. Back at the mansion, Mikey thanks Misty and Ash for their support and gives them each a gift. To Ash, he gives a Thunderstone in case Pikachu decides it wants to evolve. And to Misty, he gives a Water Stone. Since Misty is a Water-type specialist, it's only a matter of time before she has a Pokemon that needs it to evolve. Smiling, Ash and Misty both thank Mikey for the thoughtful gifts. Continuing on their journey, Ash and Co later end up running into a hippie on the side of the path who plays his flute for them. Ash recognizes the instrument as a poker flute, surprising the hippie as it's not a very popular instrument. He then asks the group for some food, and Ash quickly digs out a couple of his snack packs, handing them to the hippie while Brock and Misty joke about Ash's preparedness and Meowth nods his head in approval. The hippie smiles and thanks them for the food before waving them goodbye. Continuing down the road, they soon find a town. Misty happily expresses her excitement over them having their first decent meal in days. No offense, Ash. None taken. Snack packs aren't exactly meals, and besides, we're running low on those too. However, when they enter the town, they are shocked to find no food anywhere. While Brock, Misty, Pikachu, and Meowth munch on some snack packs, Ash is lost in thought. He's brought out of it by Misty asking him what's wrong, and Ash explains that he can't stop thinking about how there's no food here. They are soon approached by the mayor who's out on a walk and is surprised to see visitors. Ash asks the mayor why there's no food in the town, and he explains that the town's river had recently dried up. He takes the group to the town's farmland where they see that all the plants are withered and dying. Ash asks why the town doesn't have the people with water Pokemon water the plants, and the mayor explains that there aren't any water-type Pokemon native to the area, and anyone that would have caught one while on a journey have settled in other towns. They're pretty isolated out here, and visits from the younger generations that left for Pokemon journeys are rare. After this, Ash turns to Misty and asks her to bring out all of her Pokemon that know water-type moves. After she does so, he then turns to Meowth and asks if he's okay with staying here to help organize the watering of the fields. Meowth agrees and asks what Ash is going to do. Ash answers that he's going to go upstream to see what's blocking the river. Without hesitation, Brock and Misty say that they're going with him. Following the river, they soon come across a wall of thorn vines. Misty asks if this could be what's blocking the river, however, after a quick look, that theory is disproven. There's plenty of gaps in the barricade for the water to get through, so the block must be further up. Bringing out Bulbasaur, Brock has it cut the vines with Razor Leaf. On the other side of the thorns, they find a dried up spring, and in the spring, they find a very big Pokemon. Oh, great. It's a Snorlax. At Misty's confusion, Ash explains that Snorlax is a Pokemon infamous for falling asleep in the most inconvenient places at the most inconvenient of times. Made all the worse by the fact that it's almost impossible to wake a sleeping Snorlax. If Snorlax is what's blocking the water, they're in big trouble, as the average Snorlax can weigh as much as a grand piano. This gets concerned looks from Brock and Misty, the latter of whom asks how they're supposed to move Snorlax out of the way. Ash tells her that the only way to wake up a Snorlax is to play a poker flute, which none of them have. But we do know someone who does. Brock reminds them of the hippie they'd met on their way into town, eliciting smiles from both Ash and Misty. Quick as they can, they run back the way they'd come, hoping that the hippie is still there. To their relief, he is. Happy to see him, Ash quickly explains the situation to the hippie, who happily agrees to help. From there, the ending is the same, only with the mayor mentioning that thanks to their Pokemon's efforts, the plants have a head start to their recovery. Sometime later, the gang find themselves in Dark City and are immediately worried about why the place feels so empty. Before they can even try to ask around what's going on, they're bombarded by rocks from one of the nearby roofs. Thinking fast, Ash sends out Fearow and tells it to carry Meowth up to see what's going on. After a few seconds, Meowth calls over to Ash that it's a bunch of kids. Upon hearing this, Ash calls over to the kids that they shouldn't be throwing rocks at people, someone could get hurt. Rather than stopping, the boys simply shout insults at them. They finally do stop, however, when the restaurant owner arrives, scolding the boys for their behaviour. He then invites the group over to his restaurant and offers to explain the situation. There, the owner explains about the Yaz and Kaz gyms and their attempts to destroy the other by the time the Pokemon League inspector arrives. Hearing this explanation, Ash calls the leaders of both gyms complete idiots, and the trainers that have allowed themselves to be roped into perpetuating this mess are doubly so. Before anyone in the restaurant can continue the conversation, they hear the Yaz and Kaz gyms fighting again. Ash and his friends are quickly ushered upstairs so they can avoid getting caught in the conflict. Watching out the window, they see the damage the Yaz and Kaz gyms are causing to the town. Seeing this, Ash says in an eerily calm voice that neither gym deserves to be accepted by the League. They don't care about who they hurt or what damage they cause. They just want to be the last one standing. Looking over at Ash, his friends see that his face gives a mask of calm, but his eyes are burning with anger bordering on hate. Rest in peace, Yaz and Kaz gyms. The confrontation with Team Rocket is much shorter, with Ash having Fearow blow them out the door before having Meowth and Pikachu hit them with a Dark Thunder. Just as Ash is about to relax, the Yaz recruiter arrives. Just when Brock is about to go gaga over her, Ash pulls him away by his ear, telling the older teen to stop forgetting his morals for the sake of a pretty face. Confused, the girl asks what Ash means, to which he glares at her. You're one of the Yaz gym's flunkies. I saw that emblem on those meatheads that were fighting in the middle of the street earlier. I don't know what you were going to say to try and get us to join you, and I don't care. No one in either of your gyms has any right to be called trainers. Take a message to your leader. Tell him I'm challenging both him and the leader of the Kaz gym to a battle. And when I win, both the Yaz and Kaz gyms will disband and never bother Dark City again. Now leave. Misty nervously looks at Brock, saying that she's never seen Ash this angry before. Meowth nervously tells them that he hasn't either. Not even Gary has ever managed to make him this angry. After getting a Kaz member to deliver his message to the Kaz leader, Ash begins to make his way out of the city with Meowth and Pikachu. Meowth asks Ash if he's okay, to which Ash says no. He's never been this mad before, and it honestly scares him. But he can't just let the Yaz and Kaz gyms get away with what they're doing. Meowth places a comforting hand on his side, while Pikachu nuzzles his cheek. Meowth assures Ash that they're with him in this. They'll be there with him every step of the way. Ash smiles gratefully at them. The sweet moment is soon ruined as they are approached by the leaders of the Yaz and Kaz gyms. The adults glare at Ash while asking if he is the one that challenged them. When Ash confirms this, they both prepare to attack him, only for Ash to hold up his hand with a firm stop. He then tells the leaders that this is an official challenge, not a street fight. If they want to be official gym leaders, then they need to conduct themselves with the dignity of one. They've already caused too much damage to Dark City, and he won't be having them cause any more. They'll have their battle outside the city, where they can't do any damage and no innocent bystanders can get hurt. He then continues walking, not giving the leaders a chance to protest. Once they're at a safe distance from the city, Ash turns to the two leaders. He tells them that since Yaz had received the challenge first, he'll battle him first. The Yaz leader sends out Scyther, while Ash sends out Charmander. After a few quick flamethrowers, Scyther is down. After that, he takes out Kaz's Electabuzz with Gloom. With both leaders defeated, Ash folds his arms while reminding them of the conditions of the challenge. Now that both gyms have lost, they must both disband. However, the leaders are not willing to give up their gyms and are feeling very angry over Ash beating them. They get back up with their Pokemon, agreeing to a truce in favor of beating up Ash. As they order their Pokemon to attack Ash, his Pokemon jump in front of him protectively. Even the ones in their Pokeballs break out in order to defend him. However, before Scyther or Electabuzz can get close, Nurse Joy reveals herself. She tells them that she saw the whole thing and knows what both gyms have been doing. Both gyms lost the right to be made official gyms when they started fighting in the streets, but attacking a child simply for defeating them and telling them off was blacklist worthy. However, she is willing to give them a second chance if they fix the damage they caused and agree to listen to what Ash says about Pokemon battles in gyms. Here, unlike his canon counterpart, Ash is much better able to convey his meanings about what Pokemon battles are. He compares it to the difference between a professional martial arts tournament and a schoolyard fist fight. The goal of a Pokemon battle isn't to mercilessly beat down on your opponent, it's to show the skills and abilities of your Pokemon. That way, regardless of if you win or lose the battle, if you can make your Pokemon shine, you will walk away with a victory. Before the gang leave, they are approached by the boys from before. They apologize for the things they said and did, and tell Ash that they want to be trainers like him when they're old enough. Smiling, Ash wishes them luck and tells them to come find him for a battle when they do become trainers. Then, still smiling, the group take their leave. And that, everyone, is where I'm going to leave the story for now. Join me next time as our heroes encounter a certain pink puffball and run into Gary once again. I'm Rune. See you next chapter.